Hey there, everybody. This is Luke with Top Bins with Twins, and we are back for another episode with you all. Really excited to be here and hope that you guys can get some really insightful content from this episode because we're going to be talking about all about DEFCON. DEFCON.
That's a great way to announce myself.
Hey, Paul. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm happy to be back. Doing another podcast with you. I think we're going to have a really relevant subject today of talking about DEFCONs and then kind of where our teams are at and kind of just diving into a little bit of the numbers behind if it's relevant to have DEFCON players in your team. Because, I mean, at this point, I think we have a large enough sample size building into this season to kind of see exactly if it's worth it or not. So we'll dive into that subject.
Yep. We're going to get really compact at the back, and we are going to focus on building our defense.
We're gonna park the bus.
Park the bus. That's exactly what we're gonna do. So, before we do that, though, we're gonna run through our teams from last week for Game Week 9. Paul, you want to start out and tell the folks out there how you did for Game Week 9? I know it wasn't great, but
so I knew this was gonna happen. I had a awesome 2-week run where I basically took my rank from I think it was like 1.8 million up to 300k in the world. So just like a absolutely stupid run of 2 weeks. I knew it wasn't going to last forever. And that's why, honestly, in this podcast, I was kind of the last couple podcasts, I was pissed I didn't get more points from those weeks.
Right.
Because it was easily attainable. And, it is a point tally at the end of the season, not at individual weeks. I mean, it does matter a little bit, but it's always about getting every single point you can. So disappointing week. I dropped down to 28 points this week.
Ouch.
not my best game week, if I'm going to be honest with you, but I knew that going into this week. I have 3 Arsenal, 3 Crystal Palace. That fixture was going to be weird. And then I kind of played myself. I left Gabriel on my bench. Should have played him. Arteta kind of scared me off. I should have started him. Worst case scenario, somebody else subs in.
I saw this. Someone in the FPL community put out, they were deciphering every little thing that Arteta says, where there's like 4 phrases, what he says, and then what it actually means. And one of them was, he hasn't been training. He's tired. That meant he's definitely playing. And then it was, no, and then whenever he says about, let's say soccer, for example, he's feeling great, think he's, back to 100%,
doesn't play,
injured. So you kind of have to take the opposite of what he says there. Another one of those situations where we probably should have talked about the bench before we went there. It's not like you were a couple seasons ago where it was upwards of almost 20 points a week on the bench. It hasn't been that bad.
So. We've improved on that.
Yes, we're learning. We're getting better, and hopefully you all are too. So that's the hope here.
Don't be like me 2 years ago. Don't do it.
Kyle's kind of been like that.
Kyle's
shout out to you, Kyle.
Tough run there.
Yeah. He, we'll talk about him for a second. Kyle decided to take Van de Ven out for a -4 to bring in Reece James, which Van de Ven ended on 22 points, 23 points. And then Reece James ended up on 1. So I think it ended up altogether being about a 25-point swing. So sorry to bring that up if you're listening, Kyle. We know you
sorry,
to hear
Kyle,
about that.
So, not to bring it up and make your pain worse.
No, but Kyle is definitely an expert FPL manager. And that's one of those things that it was probably the right call, right? Because Everton away is a tough fixture, and Everton have been a lot better. Well, lately they've kind of stunk it up.
They've kind of stagnated,
but they've been really good, when you look at the course of the season, right? They started out hot. I get it. And Van de Ven hasn't been returning. So it's just one of those where it's wrong player at the wrong time. And there's not much you can do about it.
It happens.
So, yeah.
It happens. It happens to the best of us. But the good thing is I love my team going forward. So
good. Yeah.
Just 1 week. One momentary pause.
Yeah.
And momentum's back on. So
they'll bounce back next week.
Yep.
Just not as much as I'm going to bounce back next week.
Let's hear it, Luke. Let's hear about your team, man.
I was on wildcard after the debacle of making 3 transfers by accident. I decided to go ahead and use the chip, use my wildcard, and I ended up on 41 points. my main returners were Calafiore gets the clean sheet and he got subbed off early. Then Gabriel with 3 bonus points. One DEFCON away from getting the extra 2 points as well, which would have been really nice. He's really highly owned at this point. I think he's what 50. He's only 36% owned,
which is crazy.
That blows my mind.
That doesn't make sense.
I think as of now, you can make the argument he's the best player in the game. I'm just going to say it. But with how consistent he's been and how many points he's bringing into your team every week, I think he's a must have. He's essential. But
yeah,
I got Nick Pope with 3 points. He managed to lose the clean sheet to Fulham, which was frustrating. And then I had my double Chelsea defense between Cucurella and Reece James.
That one was a fun crash out.
that was
a fun one to experience.
That was not fun. Sunderland absolutely deserves the victory that they got at Stamford Bridge, but Chelsea were not good at all. Right?
I mean, they just gave up 3 goals to Wolves too in the cup. So, well, you ready for that double Chelsea clean sheet this weekend, Luke?
Might be playing one this week. So that's kind of what I'm looking at right now. But then I also had Saka, Gordon, Bruno Fernandes, and then Enzo, all of them blanking in the midfield, which is
we got to get your midfield in better shape. You can't figure it out this season.
I keep having great picks that I like a lot, but Gordon is returning in UCL and all the cups, and then Bruno Fernandes is just dodging returns like it's his full-time job. And then I bring in Enzo, and it just, he had chances. He just didn't finish them. But thankfully, my differential this week, Krupi Jr., Bournemouth, scored a beautiful goal against Forest.
That was a really good goal. That was a great transfer.
He is in excellent form right now, but I'm not sure if I'm going to play him this week because they play Man City away. I'm not sure what to do for that. But
I mean, City did give up a goal to Swansea today in the cup. So,
yeah. I mean,
no shade to Swansea, but
City have shown that they're going to concede goals throughout the course of the season. So I'm not sure what to do there. We'll see. But then Holland with his blank. First time he's blanked in 5 weeks, 6 weeks. First blank since Gameweek 2. So that was 6 weeks in a row without a blank, which
scored again today.
Incredible run. Oh, he did. He subbed on.
Wait, I think so. Let me see.
I don't know.
Let me fact check myself.
I don't think he did. I think it was Marmouche that scored. I don't think Holland played.
Oh, you're right. He didn't play today. It was Marmouche.
Probably a much needed rest.
Oh, darn.
For Holland. Yeah.
Maybe I should reconsider things for captaincy.
Maybe. Before we got on the podcast, Paul was saying that he was really thinking about captaining Holland after the cup fixture just now. It's like, why? I understand that now.
Confusion.
That makes sense. Confusion. I like that. Yeah. So
I
don't know. I am also very excited for how my team's shaping up for the next coming game weeks, and I just wildcarded, so it should be like that. But very optimistic with how I feel like my players were in good positions, even though they didn't necessarily return. Anthony Gordon easily could have had 2 assists last week, maybe even a goal.
How do you feel about Jacob Murphy?
Not going to say a word. Not going to do it.
You don't want to?
Not taking the bait. That is bait.
That's bait.
That's exactly what that is. And moving on to the next topic, we're going to talk about DEFCON. It is DEFCON time.
Sorry, I'm not going to make the loud noise because I feel like it's probably not great in an audio setting to make a really loud buzzer noise, but throughout this podcast, I'm just going to go.
Paul's just excited for DEFCON, which is understandable because it's kind of changed how we should play FPL, I think. But we're going to get into that. So let's do a little kind of precursor for this conversation. And I wanted to open it up just so we could have a little bit of conversation to start out this segment, Paul. How do you think DEFCON has influenced the game so far? How do you think it's changed how we should play FPL?
I think it's added a much needed element to kind of differentiate way to get points in your team. So I think it allows you to have, especially center backs, defensive midfielders, players that are honestly kind of dead in, I guess, what you would call the FPL template. Or if you're just looking at it from a logistical perspective, places that you're really going to get returns in your team. Because now, I mean, you can have 3 center backs. And I mean, if they get the occasional goal, that's fine. But if they're hitting DEFCON every week and they keep clean sheets, I mean, that's what 8 points right there, extra in your team.
Well, 3 would be 2, so 6, right?
So 6.
Yeah.
Both a clean sheet and then
Oh, well, no, I'm just saying you get 2 extra points per defender if they hit def.
yeah. No. Yeah,
Yeah.
no. You're saying
So
just on
it
surface level
balances
for the
out.
DEFCON.
So if we think about it this way, right? 3 DEFCON defenders equals 1 goal from an attacking fullback,
Yeah.
which the
Far
variance,
rarer.
the variance in getting a return from a fullback, especially a goal, is really hard to predict. Van de Ven,
Unless his name is Munoz, you know.
true. He's a very attacking fullback and does hit DEFCON as well every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying though is the shift that I think we may need to make is that those 6 points you can get from your 3 DEFCON centric defenders, that allows you to have more reliable routes to those points, right?
Mm-hmm.
The likelihood of Senesi hitting DEFCON is much higher than Munoz getting a goal,
Yeah. No,
right?
that's a very valid point.
Much more reliable. And then if you get 3 or 4 of those, they can lock in your points and add 6 extra points, maybe 8 extra points if you're going with the back 4. Then the value you can get out of your defenders, it just exponentially makes them a much better place to spend the actual pounds that you have in your team, right? Like how you're allocating your capital. That's a great way to do it. I will say, I think we'll see a template kind of start to arise where not only are people going to be going big at the back, right? So building their teams more around having defenders, I
Mm-hmm.
think we're going to start to see more of a template of how to build your defense. As
Yeah.
in, like you see 4 DEFCON monsters and 1 attacking fullback to make your 5 attackers.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's the ideal. I'm sure people have already done this, and I'm probably just, reinventing the wheel here a little bit. Maybe 2 DEFCON beasts is the best. You go 1 really cheap, right? A 4 mil that you don't really have to play, and then you go 2 attacking fullbacks, something like that. I don't know. There's something in there that I think smarter people than I have probably crunched the numbers on this and figured it out. But I see that being the next real evolution of not only do we want to invest in defenders, but how are we going to go about what's the optimal way to do that?
Yeah. No, it is something too that I would love to sit down myself and actually do the math of over a season. If you have progressive DEFCONs in your team every week, like Luke said, it's 6 points across the board, right? If you have 3 defenders, we can just say center backs, whatever it is, if you have those 6 points every week. I mean, if you just look at a season in its totality, 6 points a week in your team, 6 times 38, what is that? Like 100 and maybe 200 points?
Somewhere in there.
Yeah, it's somewhere in that range, but like that's a lot of points to add to your total that were non-existent last year.
Yeah.
That simply did not exist. So I mean, I think it is a really good way, and I think if you're ignoring it, you're not playing FPL right. Right?
No, I agree. I think it's something that you have to adapt, right? Not you per se, but
Me?
you must adapt.
Oh my
No,
god. Okay.
it's one of those things that everyone's going to have to continue to take in the information we have, but it's going to have to alter how we're playing the game. I
Mm-hmm.
can't remember the exact quote, but um, it goes something like the wise man is the one who can, learn from his mistakes, and the fool is the one who just continues to make the same ones over again. So what we need to do is make sure that we're evolving and
Mm-hmm.
incorporating this knowledge into our decision making process as we go forward. And one good way to do that, I think, is to try to find a synergy between defenders who are hitting DEFCON, but also defenders who might be a little more attacking. And that's really kind of what I tried to do with my wild card,
Yeah.
because Reece James is pretty good on DEFCON. He averages about 6 or so per game. Also got Calafiori as well, who averages around 4 to 5. So he's not going to hit DEFCON very frequently, especially because he's pushing forward the way he does, kind of in that midfield,
Mm-hmm.
occupying that kind of like left interchannel role. But what they do really well is they attack, and they have
Yeah.
really good XGI figures. So It's kind of my thought process there. And then bringing in Gahey, my Crystal Palace center back that I brought in on my wild card. I really like his attacking potential, but he is hovering around about 7 DEFCON or so per match. That price point, I really liked it. I could have gone with Richards, who is averaging, I think, over 10 DEFCON a match.
Yeah, he's on my team.
Yeah. So I thought about it, and one of my other things was you have him. So I was like, I kind of want to hedge a little bit.
I mean, he scored an absolute worldie earlier this season, which
he scored a couple goals already.
Yeah,
which kind of scares me because I'm wondering, has he met his quota for this season? But you never know. He could easily score this week with Brentford at home. That would be incredible. I'll buy his kid if he does.
I would love a Crystal Palace clean sheet this weekend.
Yeah.
And then Munoz. Let's just throw this out there. Munoz assists to Chris Richards, and then Munoz 2 assists to Mateta.
Where do I win in this?
No. We're talking about me, okay?
Okay. Yeah, understood.
No, but also maybe he could assist one of my players too. I'd be okay with that.
With the Jeremy Pino hat trick, who is my Crystal Palace midfielder that I brought in.
Who scored today. We're just highlighting stuff from the cup today, I guess. But
we are. Kind of feels like that. But I think where you're currently sitting, Paul, and how you feel about FPL right now. We know that DEFCON's a really important variable to consider. Would you prioritize DEFCONs over attacking threat, or where do you fall on that? Or is there a kind of like Venn diagram where you're just looking for that nice synergy between the two?
Well, I think there's a third piece we're not factoring in right now. Clean sheets. Clean sheet ability, right? If we can find defenders that are going to hit those clean sheets, attacking returns, and then also DEFCON, and they fall in that little slice in the middle, that's the dream, right? And I think, like you were talking about, Gabriel is one of those players that falls in there. I think Munoz can a little bit too. And then Senesi, if Bournemouth can kind of like shore up they've been pretty leaky from the back so far this season. If they can figure that out, I think he falls in that category. I would also say I think Pedro Porro is somebody that down the line could possibly be a good investment. I mean, Spurs are kind of in the same boat. I know they kept a clean sheet last week, but I don't know. I think Van de Ven's goals, turning up and scoring goals, he's a danger to other teams on set pieces, right?
Mm-hmm. He's big.
He's
got a physical presence.
I mean, he literally just out jumped Pickford for a straight up header right in front of him, which horrible goalkeeping. Like there's not a chance that should ever happen right in front of him. But I think finding those players that fall in that little middle slice is going to be the pathway forward. Like I said, I've mentioned a couple people. Do you agree with that, Luke? What do you think? Or are you more focused on another area?
If it would have been last year, I think my one priority was XGI and attacking intent, right? Is this player creating chances? Are they around chances that they could potentially finish? That was the main thing I was looking at. But now I think what's really done this for me is seeing Gabriel. Now that he's hitting DEFCON, which is incredible. I think, as we talked about last week, it's kind of stylistically, Arsenal have shifted how they're tactically setting the team up a little bit. And that puts a lot more of when Arsenal are being attacked, more of the onus is on Gabriel
for ball retention or the ball recoveries.
Exactly. Yes. And as we talked about, he's really good in the air as well. So things have changed a little bit tactically, but Gabriel has kind of taken another step up as a player generally too, is what it seems like.
Which is crazy because he was really good last year.
Yeah. Yeah. And last year, the focus on him, I think the majority was he's really great on attacking set pieces. And he's a good center back too. But now it seems like people are acknowledging that, oh, wait, this guy's actually a world-class defender as well, and not just great for set pieces. Which I think, if you're watching him, you've realized that for a long time, that he's a great center back. So, but I think Gabriel was the defender for me where I saw, okay, him hitting DEFCON not only adds 2 more points into my team every single time he hits 10 DEFCONs, it also pushes him up the BPS system exponentially higher than he would have been last season. So
Mm-hmm.
he hit 3 bonus last week without a goal or an assist. And he missed on DEFCON 2, which is
Yeah.
crazy. So if he would have hit DEFCON, he would have been even higher up on the BPS system. So I think we're kind of underselling the value of DEFCON, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I
something
agree with you.
that will, I think next season they're going to have to either price these DEFCON defenders a lot heavier or make a slight tweak to it, because it almost feels like it could be a little overpowered at times. I think we'll start seeing some teams just go straight to a 5-back in FPL,
Mm-hmm.
where managers like, you know what, screw it. There's no good midfield options. The forwards, not overly reliable, although we have a couple kind of rising to the top right now.
I think there's a lot of forwards right now.
There's a good amount of forwards right now. And shout out Creepy Jr., the
I
cheapest
thought
one.
you said Creepy Junior. I was like,
Groupie. Sorry.
it's like, who are we talking about?
Well, he's French, so maybe it's Coupe. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I have no clue.
I don't know, but keep scoring those goals though. That's what matters. He's a great
Avid
right
listener of the podcast, so
yes,
shout out.
yes. He
Um,
he won't get out of our DMs.
Oh God!
Okay,
Whoa, that was
that didn't sound
weird.
good. He's just a big fan of the podcast. Is all it is.
God.
Well,
Oh, okay. I want to bring a stat up,
that,
and we're gonna
Sure,
pivot away
sure.
from what you just said.
Good call. Good call.
So I found this really good graphic on Twitter. I'm not going to claim it's not mine. It's from FPL Kareem _. And so it has a list of the people that have achieved DEFCON the most so far this year.
Mm-hmm.
So the list goes: Senesi at 7, Tarkowski at 7, Anderson at 6, Van Dyke at 6, Mukulele at 5. Right,
Mm-hmm.
which is cool to know, just to know how many times people have achieved DEFCON, all that stuff, who's leading. But another really good thing to know too is that the most DEFCON achievers from team perspective, you have Everton, who have had 21 people hit DEFCON.
Mm-hmm.
Sunderland has 21 people have hit DEFCON. Crystal Palace, all 3 of those teams are 21. Burnley 20, Bournemouth 19.
And just to highlight that, that's 21 instances of players hitting that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. So that threshold's been crossed 21 times.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
And then the least amount of DEFCONs in teams, we have Villa at 7, Man City at 9, Arsenal at 10, Chelsea at 11, Newcastle at 11.
Hmm.
So just good to know, like, kind of the quantity of how much you can expect in a team, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. And that's a good way for us to be setting up our teams with, especially the extra free transfers, a little bit on the horizon, where we've got AFCON coming up soon. And I think there's also a big fixture shift we see coming up around Gameweek 13. I think people are going to start addressing that with their teams now. At least some people will begin to. And, reallocating some funds, right? Because we saw for the longest time Salah was really popular. He has not been playing well. And
As we bring up every week.
It is a staple
Certified
on the podcast.
haters.
Yeah. But I think where that comes from is we kind of clocked very early on that Liverpool was going to change how they played. Tactically, it's just to try to fit in their new pieces. Salah doesn't really, it just doesn't connect, right, with how Salah likes to play.
Mm-hmm.
And even so, that was one thing that Cucurella said, going back to when Liverpool and Chelsea played a couple weeks ago after the match. He said that Maresca's highlighted to them that sometimes Salah doesn't get back, right? He doesn't track back fully on defense. And that's how he was able to, eventually make that pass to Esteval to win the match. So it's something to look at. I mean, we've seen Salah be benched, and it doesn't seem like his mentality is that great about it, right? He seems very frustrated.
I mean, he had that huge falling out with Klopp a couple of years ago, where Klopp, I don't remember if he didn't play him or he subbed him out, and then there was this huge ordeal where Salah made this big dramatic production about him being basically above the club and all this stuff. So it's not surprising.
No, it's not. And this is another reason why I think DEFCON is going to continue to seem bigger than maybe people are overstating in some situations the value of DEFCON because of how poor the midfielders have been this season.
That's true.
There
There's
have
give and take
not.
there.
This is a very important note to bring up because Semenyo's the top point scorer for midfielders, and he's been very good this season. But he still hasn't been incredibly reliable week to week, right? Like he's had weeks where he's blanked. And if we think back to last season, Salah was banging in goals left and right every week. We had other players who were stepping up too across the board in the midfield. So with Saka's injury, that makes it hard. Palmer out. There's a lot of unstable picks in week over week is what it feels like to me. And that really allows a focus on DEFCON to kind of arise. With that being said, like we said at the beginning of the podcast, DEFCON is really important and has an extreme amount of viability in the game. And it's changed how we're playing.
Sure.
But I think midfielders kind of sucking kind of influences how we perceive that a little bit.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's because it's always the question of how much money should I allocate to kind of each region of your FPL team, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And this season, it's just clear that there's low budget options in the midfield that are producing better than the premiums. I mean, Saka, Palmer, Salah. I mean, Salah is not attainable at that price. Like he has to be averaging like what 6-7 points a week for it to be worth it to have him in your team.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, I mean, it's like you can find like low budget options. Like I'm not going to say many names because I've been planning some transfers. But
okay, well, I'll throw some out, right? Because I'm not going to make any transfers this week. You've got Sar from Crystal Palace.
He tried.
That his name always gets me, but apologies for that. So Sar is a great pick at 6.5 million, unless he rose in price. He might have, but I think he's at 6.5. Yeah, definitely will. He's just got a brace against Liverpool. Yeremy Pino, he's at 5.9 million
in Luke's team.
In my team. You've got Enzo, who's weirdly also in my team.
Funny how
that happens. Caicedo,
DEFCON monster.
Yes, Tyler Adams, who is a DEFCON monster, just maybe not returning the goals like Caicedo is, but he got an assist last week. So hey, maybe Tyler Adams is a great option. Brendan Aronson, a really cheap option.
No comment. And I will say, I'm just saying we haven't cut anything, but I think it was 2 weeks ago on the podcast. We were talking about Brendan Aronson, and Luke was like, "Stop, no." And he returned last week. Goal, what, 2-3 bonus?
I think 2.
He was on 11 points. 2. I mean, I'm not saying anything, but prepare for more returns. That's all I have to say.
I hope so for him, for his sake. You know, we're, as you can see with Paul wearing the USA kit right now, we might be a little biased in what we're thinking and feeling for him, but we definitely want to see him.
We may have been early, but we were not wrong.
Fair enough. Yeah. But, you know, circling back to the point I was trying to make, there are really good, I mean, I think the variance is really high with those cheaper midfield options that we were talking about.
Minte's another one.
But at the same time, you have Bruno Fernandes, who's one of the most expensive midfielders, blanking some weeks. You have Saka blanking. You have Anthony Gordon, another midfielder in my team, who's blanking, who's kind of really a premium for this season based upon how everyone else is performing. There's just, what I keep coming back to is there's a lot of unreliable picks right now. So if you're going to allocate money, why not go with a cheaper pick that maybe has the same likelihood, and it's a 2 million price difference, right? That you can reallocate between forwards and defenders, and it just might be better for our teams in the long run if we kind of divest from the midfield, is how I'm seeing it.
I agree with you, Luke. And you know, it's really crazy. If you look at I will just say top 10 points returners in FPL from a midfield perspective, at least 3 of those, probably 4, would be considered defensive midfielders.
Yeah, Caicedo,
Rice,
Gravenberch,
Polina.
Yeah.
And then you could at this point say Enzo probably is. is
He
more of
did
a
play a
holding
little
midfielder.
bit. He did play a little bit deeper.
So
Weekend.
I'm just saying that, I mean, it does have viability in the midfield too to look for those DEFCON numbers. It really helps whenever, somebody hits DEFCON, Caicedo bangs one in from outside the box. It helps a ton. Rice hits in a corner, Gabriel smashes it in. That really helps a lot, because if they hit DEFCON, they get one result. You're looking at a really good point total for somebody that
Yep, true.
didn't
Yep.
score,
Mhm.
or
Yep.
if they scored, whatever the situation is, it helps a ton though.
I think. Tell me if I'm wrong. I think Saka hit 7 points purely without returning. There was no goal, no assist,
Against
but
Fulham.
I think he got. I think he created a ton of chances, and you can. Paul's looking at, so you can confirm.
Clean sheet, 2 bonus, 2 points for DEFCON.
Yep,
and then 2 for minutes played.
yeah,
7 points.
which is crazy. I mean, that's. I think the same thing happened for you for Semenyo. I don't think he ended up on bonus, but you captained him one week, and he got the minute points, so 2 points there. He got 1 point for a clean sheet, and then you got 2 for DEFCON. And with the captaincy, you're looking at 10 points in your team.
It helps a ton.
It does. That's why I think we keep talking about on the podcast too. Bruno Fernandes is still a really good pick in my mind.
He is. He just has to start getting those positive,
You do.
returns.
You want to see that, especially when Mbomo is a little bit cheaper, and he's been playing really well as of late. Got the brace this weekend. But the thing is, he looks really good playing.
No,
He's someone who catches his eye. And Cunha has looked really good as well. Maybe Cunha is the way we need to be going.
Yeah.
Because he was kind of masterminding a lot of that attack last week.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And we're going to get to a point too where I think Sesko is going to be a really good option as a forward. Like, I think United's slowly starting to figure the attack out. I won't ever believe in their defense. I just won't. And until they get a substantial midfield, it's just not going to be a team that I'm going to believe in going forward. But from an attacking perspective, I agree with you. I think Sesko could be good, and Bomo, I mean, he's number one.
Yeah.
He's number one
Yeah.
as of right now. Bruno Fernandes, he gets a couple returns, and he instantly becomes probably one of the best FPL assets,
Yeah, exactly. Those 2 missed penalties, like we've talked about, if he has those penalties, he's
sucks.
top 2, top 3 in the midfield returners for the season. You can't change that now, but
It is what it is.
It does make me feel like he's an asset that we do want to keep, even though Mbomo is the one who returned this past weekend. I think Bruno is, next week he could eat what I think they have. Is it Brighton? Oh no, they just played Brighton. Let me look and see.
It's not Brentford.
No, because Crystal Palace played Brentford this weekend. If my phone would work.
Do you want me to look?
No. Yeah. So Manchester United have a really nice fixture. They have Nottingham Forest away, which I do really like.
They would still be hoping that Ainge was there, though,
Yeah, but Sean Dyche still hasn't looked the best.
He'll get those boys together. None of that woke attacking nonsense.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I'm gonna park the bus.
Shit. Okay. Yeah. Nice.
It's a meme. It's a meme.
It is a meme. Yes, I can confirm. I'm aware of that as well. Okay. I think that will kind of wrap up our DEFCON discussion. Do you have any final thoughts for the listeners on that portion of the pod?
I do not know.
Okay. What I think I want us to do for the rest of the pod is kind of talk about what we expect for this coming weekend. So as in, let's give some very early thoughts on what do you think with captaincy? How are you feeling about potentially making some transfers in your team? And then we can kind of go through the fixtures that we have this weekend and just run through those real fast to kind of give people some insight on what we think might happen.
Okay. From the top, looking at this game week, if we're looking at where we think goals will be, I think that's probably a good place to start.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are really good attacking fixtures to target? Arsenal against Burnley, awesome.
Yeah.
It would shock me if Arsenal didn't score a couple goals, maybe 2, 3. It could be 4 or 5. Really, the form that they're in and the way Burnley have been so far this season. I also really like. Let's see. Like Luke said, United against Forest, that could be a good fixture for them. Newcastle against West Ham. That one, West Newcastle, I could really see West Ham giving up 3 or 4 to this Newcastle team right now.
Please, Gordon.
Please, Voldemort. Please.
Please do something.
And then another, I think we're the best fixture of the weekend is probably going to be Bournemouth for City. I think that's going to be I think it's going to be a really good match.
I think that will be entertainment level wise very similar to Bournemouth versus Crystal Palace
and Liverpool too.
Yeah, and those
I
have
think
been
we're going to see a lot of
fun.
goals across the board in that game.
Yeah, that's coming into the season. We saw a lot of people saying they were worried about Bournemouth. Is Bournemouth going to be okay? And I was not concerned one bit because Iriola has that team competing at a very high level, regardless of how many incomings and outgoings they have. Obviously, you need incomings to replace players, but I knew that in the long run they were going to be fine, right? Because he's a top manager. They play with a lot of intensity, and they really just make it difficult for other teams to establish a rhythm against them, and that's hard to play against every week. And that goes against any team you're playing against, right? Whether you're playing Wolves, who are dreadful, or you're playing against Arsenal, who's the best team in the league right now. They match up well against any team.
Yeah, easily.
Yep. So speaking of Arsenal, with Burnley away, I am debating going with the captaincy on Saka. I feel that Saka is due a pretty big return sometime soon. He hasn't really had that 13, 15 point return quite yet. And Burnley have been conceding the most XG out of any team in the league. It feels prime for Saka to go in there and get a goal and an assist, 3 bonus points, or a goal and 2 assists, whatever it may be.
Hit DEFCON.
He could hit DEFCON, which I would absolutely love. But I think he could be prime for a big return, and I'm a little hesitant about City playing Bournemouth because I think that's a tough fixture for them.
And we'll have to see too. I mean, this is going to be one of those captaincy choices where we're going to get news from Pep on Friday. And we'll have to see what he says because, I mean, Holland did have a knock last weekend. He didn't play in their cup fixture today. He should be fine. I haven't really heard much about it, but just something to be aware of because, I mean, if you have that captaincy on Holland and he ends up just subbing on or anything like that, you really don't want that. You want to maximize your captaincy.
I'm sure you heard, Paul, that Erling Haaland has joined YouTube. He started a YouTube account and put out his first video. So Erling, if you want to join fellow YouTubers and come on the pod, you just let us know.
Yeah.
You're welcome anytime.
We'll make an exception even if you are a City player.
You're welcome anytime. If you want to join.
The thumbnail will say Erling Haaland, ex-Dortmund player.
Oh man! / please come to Arsenal.
We'll cut a picture of him in his Dortmund kit and be like,
nice.
The Dortmund star, ex-Dortmund star,
the one where the lady's flipping him off in the background after his goal score.
That's me every time Haaland scores against Arsenal.
That's one of the best memes out there. But it's underappreciated, I believe. I really think it's one of the best. It's not appreciated.
It is purely cinema.
It is
like the fact that somebody managed to capture that.
That was great.
Whoever was working that camera was on it that day.
Yeah, they were. It was very impressive. So, yeah. So considering Saka, but not sure if he'll get the armband. Outside of that, I'm very excited for my Crystal Palace assets this week. As we mentioned on the pod.
Mateta.
So we're diversified across 5 different Crystal Palace assets on the pod. I have Yeremy Pino and Ismail Sarr. I'm going to get that right one day.
Lucas.
Apologies for not getting that right. Paul has Chris Richards, Munoz, and Mateta.
Which Chris Richards is flagged right now.
He is. And if you got to this,
I didn't realize that. I just looked at the app.
He'll be okay. It's one of those where I think they're just resting him for cup fixtures. He hasn't really played in them that much. And some in Europa League too. He's probably just managing a longer term injury.
I mean, do they have a ton of games coming up? So
they do.
Really got to manage that time,
If you're sitting there listening to this portion of the pod, though, before Gameweek 10 starts, be sure to slide in the comments and tell us which one out of the 5 of our Crystal Palace assets you most believe in.
You
Is
could
it
just slide in our DMs like Croupy Jr.
I'm not going to live that one down.
Come on, man.
But let us know which Crystal Palace asset you think is the best and why. Put that in the comments. Another fixture that kind of crazy. A lot of 7 of the 10 fixtures are on Saturday this week.
At 11 o'clock.
Yeah, I think the clocks rolled back over in Great Britain, but we haven't done that yet here, so we'll be a little bit behind for this weekend, and then we'll catch back up after this week.
I have plans during the Arsenal match.
Oh, that's not good.
Sorry, Morgan. I'll be watching on my phone.
You're not sorry.
I'm not sorry.
You're not sorry, but yeah. So that's one reason why the alignment of the fixtures this weekend that I might still go with the Holland captaincy, because I'm a little fearful putting the armband on Saka in the first round of fixtures on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of a preference thing there, but something in the back of my mind that I always hate it when I start out a weekend with a blank on my captain. That is,
I get it. I totally
that
get
does
it.
not feel right to me, but
At least it's not like a Friday fixture, though. To me, those are a lot worse.
they are, because then you have all day to think about it.
I will say, one of my favorite things though is having a captain on the last game
Yeah,
of the weekend,
see, I would
whether
love
it's
that.
Monday or last game on Sunday. It's so fun because you're like, I'm playing with house money right now. You know exactly what you need.
I would really
Not that
like
it really
that.
matters, but
I would like that for this week, but for game week 10, the Monday fixture is Sunderland with Everton playing Everton at home. And that's just one where I just don't have any assets.
that's
in
gonna
game.
that to me that game is a absolute throw in the air. Like we don't. I have no idea what's gonna happen in that one.
I would say Sunderland come out with the 3 points.
They could. I mean, they easily could. I mean, they've been playing. I mean, they just took three points at Stamford Bridge. So
They've been even better at home. The Stadium of Light. That's one of those where
Xhaka question mark as an FPL matchup.
I'm not sure if I go with Xhaka there. I think the goals are pretty spread out, but maybe the defensive assets, across Mukulele, and who's the other defender that's really Alderete? He was under
You know more than I do.
concussion protocol last week, and he didn't play, but I think he should be back for the Monday fixture. So if you have them in your team, I would recommend playing those defenders this week.
Yeah,
We'll see. So, yeah, just kind of running down the games really fast this weekend. I think another fun one would be Tottenham and Chelsea. I feel like that'll be a fun watch.
how much you want to bet on a Chelsea red card?
Just not Reece James or Kukurea, please.
God. I honestly really hope that doesn't happen because I don't want to. You would be a disaster if you're around for the weekend, Luke.
Yep, you got that right. I would be.
Yeah,
I really would be. Yeah, but I think that kind of closes out my how I'm kind of viewing this coming weekend. Gonna roll a transfer. Looking forward to getting that'll get me up to 3 free transfers. And yeah, that gives me good adaptability in my team, and hopefully I can roll again, get to 4 or 5, and then kind of go from there. Is what my hope is.
That's the dream.
Because my team's been shaping up pretty good, so it would be really nice to be able to get to game week 15. That's 16 when we get the free transfers, or
I believe it's going into game week 16.
okay, it'd be really nice to just be able to use 4 free transfers going into 14 or 15. Yeah.
You'd use
And
it going
then-
into 15.
Yeah, and then going into 16, I get the four more again. But then that gives you 8 transfers, or the free transfers over the span of those weeks. So that would be awesome to be able to do that. So
yeah, no, I agree, Luke. One last note about the fixtures this weekend. I think Danny Welbeck is going to be a really good option against Leeds.
okay, yeah,
I think Mente too, playing that Leeds team that is just different away from home. And that's the only reason I'm not making a rash transfer with one of our baby Eagles flying around right now. I'm fighting myself, but I got priced out of a move, so I'm probably not going to go that way. We'll see. We'll keep you updated. But Yeah, I think Brighton this weekend could be really good. They just played Arsenal midweek, didn't have all their guys starting and everything, but I like that fixture against Leeds.
From the stats I saw, it looked like Brighton played really well. They just really didn't convert their chances. And then
I didn't
Arsenal
get to
ended
see
up
the first
getting
half,
2-0. So probably go back and watch the highlights later tonight. But yeah, I'm very excited for this weekend. Gameweek 10 should be a fun weekend, not only for FPL, but also for the fixtures and how teams are kind of matching up against each other. So lots of really good football to watch. If you can, sit down, watch it. If not, enjoy those highlights later on, because sometimes we have to miss fixtures, unfortunately, for real life stuff. But that's okay.
no, we don't.
Because
No, we don't.
I wish we didn't. I wish we didn't. Yeah. But fortunately, it's where we're at.
Yes,
Yep.
it's the life we live. But yeah, I think this has been a fun time hanging out with you, Luke. I wrote the DEFCON discussion. If you didn't get a chance to listen to it, go back, check it out. I think it's a really nuanced conversation that kind of sheds a lot of light on kind of the pathway going forward for teams, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I would check that out. And also, like Luke said, whoever you think is the best Crystal Palace asset, just drop it in the comments and we'll respond back because we love talking about this stuff.
And don't forget to like and subscribe. On that note, we will get out of here for the week. But thanks for joining us, everyone. We are Top Bins with Twins, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.